So, you've probably seen the recent photos of North West, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's daughter. She just turned 11, but the pictures have the internet completely divided, with tons of people saying she looks way, way older. And it really makes you wonder, how did we even get to this point?
I thought she was Cardi B. I mean, just let that sink in. This was a real comment, one of thousands, after North was photographed in Rome. To say something like that about an 11-year-old is pretty jarring, and it perfectly captures this mix of confusion and, honestly, concern that everyone's feeling. So that's really the big question we're going to unpack here. How did a preteen become one of the most talked about, most controversial people online? This isn't just about a famous kid growing up. It's about a massive family brand, two totally different parents, and a childhood that's been packaged for public viewing from the literal day she was born.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to start with what's been happening in just the last few months because things have really ramped up and put North right in the center of the storm.
It all kicked off with this complete and total transformation. First, she just wipes her super popular TikTok account clean. And then boom, she's back with bright blue hair and temporary face tattoos. But the real moment that set the internet on fire was her look in Rome. A black corset, a lace skirt, high heels. I mean, the reaction was instant. People were saying she looked older than her own mom. This wasn't just a kid trying a new style. It felt like the deliberate launch of a whole new, much older persona. And this whole reinvention happened right after another massive controversy. Back in May, North was cast as young Simba in The Lion King's 30th anniversary show. And the performance was, well, it was awkward. She looked unprepared, and the internet just exploded with accusations of nepotism, that she only got the part because of her parents. But the real bombshell dropped later. On the reality show, Kim casually admitted that she knew North couldn't sing, but let her do it anyway. That just added fuel to the fire, with everyone thinking the whole thing was engineered just to get people talking, whether it was good or bad. But here's the thing. None of this is happening in a vacuum. These recent events are the result of a lifelong strategy, a blueprint that was basically laid out for North before she could even walk or talk.
Think about it. North West didn't just become famous. She was born as an asset to the brand. Her birth was a major plotline on the family's TV show. Even her name was a global debate days after she was born. From that moment on, every milestone, every tantrum, every family moment was filmed. Her life was content before she even knew what content was. And this all comes from the family playbook, perfected by their momager, Kris Jenner. It's what people call the Kris Jenner strategy. And it's pretty simple. Relevance is everything. The idea is that since the family doesn't sing or act in the traditional sense, their lives are the product. So drama, controversy, even negative headlines, it's all good for business. And North is just the next generation being folded into that exact same strategy. But what makes North's story so incredibly complicated is that she's caught between two extremely powerful and totally opposite forces, her mom and her dad. So on one side, you have Kim. She's a master of the strategy her mom built. Her number one priority is staying relevant, and her method is to turn her family's life into content. But then on the other side, you have Kanye. He's constantly criticizing Kim's choices, saying he wants to protect North's innocence. But his methods are usually chaotic public rants, and his own behavior is all over the place, leaving North stuck right in the middle of this constant tug of war. And let's be really clear about what's at stake here for Kim. Her company, Skims, is valued at $4 billion. That entire empire is built on her personal brand. Any drop in public attention is a direct threat to her bottom line. So you can see why there's this constant pressure to create moments that keep everyone talking about them. Meanwhile, Kanye often steps in as the public opposition. People have described him as someone who can't be silenced. And we see it all the time when he goes on social media to blast Kim for letting North be on TikTok or for what she's wearing. But at the same time, he's often not around, and his own chaotic example just creates this really confusing and contradictory world for his daughter.
So what do you get when you mix the Kardashian media machine with Kanye's rebellious chaos? Well, you get the public persona of North West. And what's wild is that even Kim seems to admit that North is this force of nature she can't totally control. She once said, "God sent me North to teach me humility." That's a pretty candid admission that her daughter has this strong, Kanye-like personality that doesn't always stick to the family script. It's like having a wild card in their perfectly curated world. And North definitely uses her platform to show off that personality. On her TikTok, she has almost 20 million followers, and they follow her because she's totally unfiltered. She'll give a tour of Kim's famously minimalist house and just call it ugly. She once called her mom out on a live stream asking, "Why do you change your voice when you film yourself?" But that same unfiltered vibe has also gotten her into hot water, like when she dressed up and imitated the rapper Ice Spice when she was only 9. The backlash was so huge that Kim had to delete the video.
So when you put all of this together, the marketing plan, the fighting parents, the viral controversies, it all leads to one really big and really difficult question.
It's easy to just say, well, that's life in the spotlight. But that argument kind of falls apart when you look at other celebrity kids, like Blue Ivy Carter. Beyoncé and Jay-Z have proven that it is absolutely possible to protect your child's privacy and give them an age-appropriate image, even when you're two of the most famous people on the planet. The big difference really seems to boil down to a choice made by the parents.
So who is responsible for all this? Well, the blame gets passed around a lot. Many people point the finger directly at Kim, saying she's using her daughter's childhood to stay relevant. Then you have people who blame Kanye for being all talk and no action, criticizing from the sidelines while setting his own chaotic example. And then, of course, some people argue that we have to give North some credit for her own agency here. She's obviously a strong-willed kid, she's growing up, and maybe this is just her way of expressing herself.
Ultimately, we're all just watching a childhood play out like a TV show for millions of people. The only person who will ever truly be able to explain what this was all like is North herself. And that leaves us with the biggest question of all. When she's finally old enough to tell her own story, without a script, what on earth is she going to say?